Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is just like the dating guru for guys. Like, you have a question, she has an answer. If you're dating, if you're looking to date somebody, you're on apps looking for someone, not really sure how to navigate all that stuff as a guy, she can help you out with that. She wants you to make a true connection that really changes your life. And we're going to talk about how to pace yourself in relationships. Guys, pay attention. Tamara is back with us. Welcome. How you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me back, Steve. So glad to be here. This can be a make or break conversation in a relationship.
Yeah, because these things come up, and we did talk a little bit about it last time we got together about
Mhm.
meeting the kids when it's appropriate.
Right.
But that, to illustrate what we're talking about, that's pacing. How do
It
you
is.
pace the relationship? You're going in a certain direction. Yeah, you want to meet the kids right away. Tap the brakes, make sure, it's the right
Mhm.
time. And you're gonna help us out and tell us when is the right time for all different things, right?
Right. And it's difficult because men and women see love and feel love in different ways. And so, what feels really genuine to a guy is going to seem really fast to a woman just because men tend to fall in love more quickly than women. And so, women are just on a different pacing scale. So, it is genuinely tough for a man to know when to take it to the next level, when to make the next move, and when not to say things so that you don't scare her away. Because pacing can bring you closer, it can make you feel wobbly, or it can just destroy it. It just scare her off.
So
Yeah.
why don't we pick a few different scenarios and when it's a right time in the relationship to take care of those things.
Hmm. Right. Like meeting the friends, for instance. If so it's, you just have to think it through. So if this is a party, for instance, where there's going to be lots of people there, sure, take her whenever you want. I mean, I would wait until you know you like her, not exclusivity necessarily, but you know you like her. Like you've had enough dates where you know that for certain. But if it's like a party of like six, you have to really be close enough to her to field all the questions from the friends, the screening, and potentially difficult questions that might be tough to answer. So you just really have to be prepared for whatever situation you're running into. So just consciously look at each scenario with your friends and see if it's really appropriate or not. Like, for instance, you're not going to take her to a wedding where you know most of the people. You could take her to a wedding without being exclusive if you hardly know anyone. No one's going to be asking you any questions, or maybe just idle chit chat at the bar or something, but they're not going to be confronting you like, when are you getting married? When, and depending on your age, are you going to have kids or more kids, or, things like that. So just think about who's going to be in the room, who's going to be there, what type of questions will be asked. You know your people, and is it really the right time to have her in their vicinity yet?
Yeah,
You
you
don't
don't want
want
to make her
her to
feel
feel
uncomfortable.
pressure.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. And like
right.
we've said this before, and actually you brought it up and it was great when we talked about conscious dating, where you need to visualize what's going to come next.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be meeting somebody for the first time, first date. As you sit in your car, you visualize it, think about what you're going to do. Not overthink it, but just, kind of play
Yep,
it out in your mind. Same
right.
thing where you're bringing her to an event, a wedding. All right, who's going to be there? Jimmy's going to be there. He's a pain in the butt.
Right,
What's he gonna say?
right.
I don't want her to be uncomfortable. He's got like vomit mouth where he just doesn't shut up, and
Yeah,
or everything is great, and then you could forewarn her, say, just watch out for Jim.
yes.
Be a real jerk. He's a great guy, love him,
Yeah.
but that's the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you feel that's okay just
Yes.
to
Yeah.
warn her in some regards?
Absolutely. It just depends on the scenario. So, part of conscious dating is being mindful of what you're doing and when, so that you can be yourself, and so that you really still want to date her. And so, like in that scenario, you could just say, everybody's going to be great and you're going to feel comfortable except for this one guy. And when he comes up, I'll say his name so you know to excuse yourself to go to the restroom.
Yeah. Wait,
you know,
got to be
yeah,
careful though, because you don't want her thinking that he may say something that you don't want her to hear. Like, oh,
Oh, yeah,
oh, he's married.
right.
Something like that.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. And yes, you have to be comfortable. If you're going out with like high school friends from way back, you know what they're going to say about you in front of her. So just,
Right.
you want to monitor that too and just think, is it really time for that? Or do we need to go a little bit further before we progress to that?
And regardless of whether the things that they would say from high school or back in the day are good or bad, it's you. But you also want
Hmm.
her to feel comfortable. Like
Right.
you don't want her to feel like an outsider as they talk about the time that you
Yes.
guys went to, that outdoor beach bar and you were on the bar doing push-ups in
Hmm.
the muck,
Right.
which actually happened to me, but we're not going to talk about that. With wearing white shorts. But anyway, um, you don't want her to feel isolated from all of that conversation. So you got to think
Right.
about that as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so another thing that you want to think about is exclusivity. When do you ask her that you want to be boyfriend, girlfriend, so to speak, and you want to move into exclusivity if you're only going to date each other and you're now in a committed relationship? So that can come before or after I love you. But if you're going to say I love you and then not ask her to be exclusive, she's going to wonder. But if you ask her to be exclusive and I love you comes later, that's fine. Just know that she's not on your timetable. And so you might genuinely be feeling those feelings, but you could use other words like, I'm crazy about you. I'm falling for you. I can't wait to see you. I enjoy every minute we are together. And then see how she reciprocates. If she's visibly comfortable, you can see it in her body language. If she's comfortable with those words, then you're golden. Yeah. And same with I love you. If she doesn't say it back, that doesn't mean she's not getting there. It just means she's not there yet. And that is a really, honestly, you are learning that you can trust her. She's not just going to say what you want to hear. So it's kind of like rejection is a double-edged sword. You might feel rejected in that case, but really she's showing you her character. She's showing you you can trust me. When I say it, I'm going to mean it. It's going to be genuine.
And everybody has a different love language.
Mm-hmm.
She may show it in ways, not just the L word, but just how she cares, but may not vocalize or verbalize it. But you have to look at the
Mm-hmm.
full picture.
Right.
She wants to see you.
Mm-hmm.
She makes plans to see you. It's all great. You have she waits for your phone call. But she might not, you may say, I love every minute with you. I adore you. All of that. You might not be
Mm-hmm.
saying it back, but you have to look at the actions because everybody speaks in a different way.
Right. Right. And, watch her face and body language when she does or doesn't respond or how she responds, because that's really telling too. I mean, if she awkwardly looks away or gets quiet or then pulls away in those next few days after, then she's just not there yet. And you just want to talk it out then. Did I make you uncomfortable? I'm fine with where we're at, and just,
Mhm.
share how you feel so it doesn't get more and more awkward.
For
And
sure.
love languages, I'm so glad you brought that up. Guys, if you've not taken the love language assessment, it takes 20 minutes. It's by Dr. Gary Chapman. Just do it. Get online and do it, because not only will it help you in your love relationship, it helps with your kids, with work, with you just notice patterns in people then, and you're that guy that's always handshaking or, slapping you in the behind or, high five. That's the touch guy. That's all that is. That's nothing weird. Or maybe you're that guy. That's great. Your woman's going to love that if she's a touch person. But that way you can honor everyone's languages no matter what setting you're in. But it's going to help you profoundly in your love relationship, because the truth is you can compromise on all the languages, in my opinion, but one, touch. And we're just hardwired in this way. This isn't a personality test. This isn't I'm going to be this way when I'm 20, then different when I'm 40, and different when I'm 60. This is hardwiring primal stuff, and you either want to touch someone or you don't. And touch is just something that you've got to talk through. And if you ask her what her love languages are and it's not touch, and you're seeing evidence of that, you've got to decide as a touch person, can I live without that or just live with what she's willing to give?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really hard one. The other ones you can practice, learn, write a sticky note, put a reminder on your phone, like you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to be accepting if you're really into
Hmm.
somebody, because
Yes.
you can't just be narrow-minded and say, she doesn't speak like I do. She doesn't tell me that she cares,
Hmm.
but she may be doing all those other things. And
Right.
that's the way she communicates. And doesn't mean she might not get there one day, or
Right.
maybe that's the way she is. And,
Right.
psychologically, maybe that's the way she was brought up. Her parents weren't
Right.
very affectionate. They weren't verbally affectionate. Maybe she doesn't know how to do that.
Right.
Maybe she
Right.
hasn't been in a lot of relationships and kind of doesn't know. That could be it too. There's a whole different things going on
Right.
there.
Right. So if she hasn't taken the love language assessment, have her take it too, because it would be, I don't want you breaking up with someone because you're missing each other when it could really just be a lack of understanding about each other's love language and you just need education about it. The book's a super easy read if you wanted to read that. And then you can, if you really want to stay with someone, but it's just like anything, any other part of the relationship where you feel disjointed, you either want to fix it together or you don't. And so if she doesn't want to show you love in the way that you want to be shown love and affection, you've got a decision to make. And that's part of conscious dating. Here's the thing, here's what's happening, here's where we're at. This is where she wants to stay. You're either in or out. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to tell you how it went, but I'm going to tell you a real life situation.
Okay.
Best friend's big birthday party. Hit a big number. Surprise party for him. I've known his family since we were in junior high. So they're my family.
Yeah.
When is it okay to bring somebody that you're dating? How far in should you bring them to an event like that? I'll tell you what happened after you
Mhm.
tell me what you think the answer would be.
Close to exclusivity or exclusivity, just because that's your second family, that means a lot. And it's a really meaningful event too. And she is going to get all the questions, and you're going to get asked all the questions in front of her. So, yeah, you need to be to a really solid place so she's not uncomfortable because that's part of your job. When you're taking her to one of your things, it's your job to make sure that she's prepared, comfortable, knows what to wear, knows where you're going, knows can sort of visualize what might happen just so she can feel confident. Yeah.
Okay. So I should have called you. Back. That was let's see. I want to say like a year and a half ago ish.
Okay.
And it was probably the third or fourth date. She wasn't exclusive. I figured, fine, just bring her. We're
Yeah.
hitting it off. It seems okay. There was always
Right.
the distant thing about her. And I thought, well, in time, but it's my best friend. He'll understand. He knows I'm dating somebody out of,
Mhm.
long-term relationship. Family does too, whatever. Um, she did fine in terms of, the questions, and it was all good. She actually ran into somebody who she knew, mutual friend kind of thing,
Ah.
except,
Oh, I was waiting for the butt.
yeah, it was at a brewery because it was his
Okay.
favorite place. So, and it was a surprise. He had no idea all these people would be there. So she had like two beers. She's very petite. Um, and I don't know what started it, but she was outside for a moment and I go out there and she was teary and started talking about a past relationship. And I'm like,
Oh.
wonderful. This is like a big
Oh.
celebration. And it wasn't the first time. Something similar happened maybe a date or two after that. And that's where it kind of ended. She
Mhm.
was not ready, in my opinion, to
Yeah.
date, let go of a relationship. Things triggered her and all of that. But to your point, I probably should have waited or waited until it was somebody exclusive before, we went that
Mhm.
road for that event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because they're just as unpredictable as you are, the setting is, your friend your
Sure.
friends are. So you just need to be solid in a solid place and that it feels solid to you.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you know where each other stands so that you can answer the question because it's really uncomfortable if you say where you think you are and it's not where she
Right.
she thinks you are.
Or you look at
Yeah.
each other. Somebody says something. So, how long you guys
Yeah.
been together? You happy?
Right.
What do you?
Right. Right. I
It's all
know.
awkward. Yeah. And you've
Yeah.
nailed it. You've nailed it when she starts talking about the little things about you. Like, for example, I'm talking about a brewery, Sober
Yeah.
Heaven. Um, it's a running joke among people I hang out with that hoppy beers make me sneeze. And I'll go into a full on like 10 in a row and just laugh.
Oh my word.
And, you know, was with somebody and she actually said, yeah, watch out because he, goes he goes crazy with a certain type of beer. So when they pick up on things like that, you know that you're kind of cementing the relationship, those little quirky things.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree.
All right. So how
Yeah,
about other
yeah.
events or other insight on pacing in a relationship?
So a funeral, if you don't really know many people there, the person that passed was close to you, but you're not going to know anyone else, feel free to take her whenever if she is up to going. Like if that's not going to trigger her, because that would make it tough on you too to really have your moment and process a little bit in the funeral if you're taking care of her because she got triggered. But if it's someone that's really dear to you, I would not take her until you're exclusive because there will be so many other people there and so many questions. And funerals are just hard on everybody and triggering, in a lot of cases. So I would wait on that. But though, honestly, people just, the reason this is so important with conscious dating is people haphazardly launch themselves into these situations without really thinking it through. And then they've hijacked the whole relationship out of one event that they just really weren't. Why not take her? Why not take her? Why not?
Well, in my mind,
Another,
you're together. And that's what you're saying. Guys
yeah,
are jumping in too fast and the guy's mind, well, we
right,
are together, so I can ask her. Funerals for
right,
me is a real challenging one. It's
yeah,
not a good time, obviously. Um,
yeah, right,
you have to be at a certain point in the
mhm,
relationship. And I don't mean it has to be
right,
super serious you have to be
right,
in certain, you have to read that one
mhm,
carefully. And
right,
it could be one of those situations where, hey, tomorrow, can you come with me? I don't want to go alone. I just feel uncomfortable,
yeah,
whatever. You want to approach it that way, but it still has to be
yeah.
feel right in the relationship to make that ask. To
and
care.
and go through the same explanation. Here's what I'm guessing it will be like. Here's who I'm guessing will be there, and here's how long I expect to stay. If you're going to be there 3 hours, that might change her response as opposed to a half an hour or an hour. Yeah, so just talk it through together. It really just, again, the scenarios, you are consciously sitting down thinking this through so that you are making the right choice for the two of you.
For sure.
So inviting her to be exclusive is, a really big one too. You don't have to have said, I love you. You just want her all to yourself.
Hmm.
But she might wonder if that's like 3 dates in. It just might give her pause, right? You might be wildly attracted to her, but the truth is, after 3 dates, you don't know that much about her to really make that assessment. Within 2 weeks, you're telling her, I love you. You actually don't have enough information, even if you live together. You were trapped on a boat for 2 weeks. You still don't quite know enough. You know you're falling in love with her, but so that's what scares her away is she knows logically you literally don't have enough information to make that declaration. And so just give it more time. But people that date and they're 6 months in and they're like not exclusive, I'm like, then just say we're casually dating and keep dating other people. So put your genuine intention out there,
Mm.
but you do not have to wait for her that long. If she's not ready, when you've been ready for months, and then sit down and have that deep conversation with her about where is she at, how does she really feel, and then end it. She's not in the same place, and if after 6 months she's not there, she's not getting there. I mean, I'm talking about a mature woman that really wants a long-term relationship. She's not getting there.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're just getting, this is just a boyfriend girlfriend conversation. If that's scary, that's okay. She just has more healing to do before she's ready for a next step. Or you're not the guy.
And if she's that
So
person, like deeper into her feelings and relationships, she's probably gonna let you know after 6 months. She want to know, what are we doing here? In a
yeah,
nice way, to bring it up to you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, you don't want to be
You
the
both want to know. Yeah,
you
because
both want to
neither
know.
one of you want to waste your time. Right.
unless you're just viewing it as somebody else you're dating, and
Yes.
or you're a
Yep.
player. You're a player, and you're not
Yeah.
going to say, if it didn't come up, I'm not going to talk about it, and I'm just going to date other people, and I want to keep you in the
Right.
mix because you're fun, but you're not the one.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I mean, that conversation needs to be had really early. What are you looking for right now out of a relationship? Not me, a relationship in general. And that's when you say, right now in my situation, I'm ready. I'm just casually dating. And then there's no waiting. There's no, bubble burst. You've outlined each other's expectations right in the beginning. That's like from like the first couple dates. That's just a conceptual conversation. It's not personal. It's just what are you after right now?
in your view,
Yeah.
talking to people, working with guys, do you find that most people, men and women, want a long-term relationship or an exclusive relationship? Do you find that maybe it's more women that are just casually dating, or is it more guys? Like, what's your feel?
Mhm. I think it just depends on what you've been through and where you're at, honestly. I think that's why the question has to be asked out loud. And you need to hear an actual definitive answer. And if their answer is, I don't know, then you need to be willing to go into, I don't know, and that it might go somewhere, but you want to know where the I don't know comes from. I'm out of a fresh breakup. I just got divorced. I've just started dating again, or, really what's the why behind the answer? So you can consciously decide, do I want to move forward? Because for somebody that knows for sure they want a long-term relationship, you really usually don't want to date that person because they're just not where you're at yet. I mean, you are on really fragile ground dating somebody that's in that position. And there's nothing wrong with them being in that position. You just definitely want to have, you know,
In your view,
genuine intentions.
of talking with people and just learning, do you find that most people really do want to be in a long-term relationship?
I think everyone wants love and acceptance, love and belonging. Everyone, that's a fundamental human need.
Hmm.
But the truth is, I think honestly, most people don't know what they want until you get to the point where you know for sure. I mean, there is a point where you know for sure I'm long-term relationship material, or I'm just wired that way. I've always been that way, even in high school. So yes, people want that, but no, they don't. They aren't healed enough or don't have the time, attention, or the intention yet, attention and intention to devote to that. Yeah. But you'd be amazed how many people sincerely don't know. So they'll say something. And then later you learn that actually wasn't true, but it was just because they didn't want to say they didn't know, but they really didn't know, or they didn't realize they didn't know. They thought they were ready for long term. But then when they started to fall for you, you triggered all these little things, and now they know they're not. So that's where people get hurt. Yeah,
Mm.
people just genuinely not knowing themselves what they're ready for.
Some people are afraid. You got burned once,
Hmm.
twice, whatever it might
Yeah,
be, and you think you know what you want, and then
right.
you have to pace yourself. That's another,
Yes,
you know.
right. Yes,
Anything else in
absolutely.
the last minute or so we have here in terms of pacing the relationship, events, and things like that?
Tips, tip of the day is never assume that you are in an exclusive relationship. Never. If it's not been said out loud, it's it's no, you're not.
I agree.
It needs to be a moment where you ask her, I really want you to be mine. I want to be a girlfriend, boyfriend. I want an exclusive relationship. I want you. Make it special, make it meaningful, make it a moment so she knows for sure. And it is a really romantic, beautiful step. But if that conversation's never been said out loud, don't assume by she's only talking to me. She's only seeing me. We see each other so much there couldn't possibly be anyone else. She's introduced me to her family. None of that matters. You
I
could both have the same feelings, but without the conversation, never assume.
I
You
agree
need to ask
with the
her.
conversation, and I totally
Yeah.
agree. Never assume. There are maybe some situations, relationships where you kind of got it. Like you guys are, you're a thing.
Hmm.
Whether you say it or not. Um, Very few and infrequent. And
Hmm.
I want to say you probably know if it's there, but you can't assume because
Yeah.
you might
Right.
get slapped. You know,
Because she could be with just you right now, and then next week a guy approaches her in a live event. Now she's got two guys. So it could be, yeah, you're exclusive in her head or your head for a minute. Doesn't mean it's true next week. You have to make the deal.
Well, you know what? This is what I've learned in life. It's the deal you make in the beginning. You have to, whether you take a new job, you negotiate. I'm not saying you're going to negotiate a relationship with somebody, but it's what's in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's because you can't go back and change it. So, make sure it's right along the way. And then when it feels comfortable to say, are we exclusive?
Yeah.
Because I want to be with just you. I don't want to be with anybody else. I enjoy you.
Right.
See, a future, maybe a future with you and all of that. Yeah, good stuff today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I want everyone to make it to that next step, to that long-term, passionate, loving, long-term relationship that you really want. And getting your pacing right will help you get there, like, more quickly, securely, confidently. Yeah, it'll be really beautiful.
What is that love language assessment you had mentioned? What's that called again?
Oh, Love Language Assessment by Dr. Gary Chapman. You can just Google it. It'll pop right up because he's like the king of love language. I mean, the king, the developer, the creator, the author.
I'll be doing that tonight. Seriously. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. It's fun. And you can't assume just because sex and touch, not related. You like sex, that has nothing to do with touch.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
I'm glad you brought that up, because let's just clarify that, because most people like sex. Yeah, irrelevant.
But the touch thing, I mean, it's just that there's one, you could be walking through a store and an arm goes around you for even a second. It's like,
yes,
okay, you feel safe. Yeah. Or, I've gotten before, like, standing in Starbucks and, arm goes around my waist and it's just like, I feel clingy. Okay, no problem. It's, no, don't have to give how do we find you if we want to improve and pace properly?
On Instagram, you can find me at Tamara, True Connection. And my website is trueconnection.coach, COACH. Would love to help you find her sooner than later and keep her once you find someone you like.
I love the fact that you cater to men, because it's almost as if, you being a woman, you can give us the other view. So it's almost like, you got a sister.
Right.
That's helping you. Wait, what's
and a cheerleader. Yes. Exactly. Let's do it.
Yeah. All good. Great talking with you, Tamara.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Talk soon.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.